Welcome to Smokey CNC Woodworks. I'm Brian, and today what I want to do is answer several questions. I've had several about the whole process of what I'm going through because I do move so fast when I'm doing the videos normally that you don't see exactly everything. So what I'm going to do today is I'm actually just going to go through the whole process. I'm actually just going to cut just a little thing, not going to take very long. But it's just going to be a little something, and just so I can show you the programming side all the way through. And now don't worry, the programming, it's not going to take very long at all. It's a very little simple project. It's not going to take long to get through it. And because I know some people get bored by that stuff, because if you're not doing it, you're not really interested in it. So here's the truth, is I actually had the video already done, and I messed around and let it, if you hear some background noise here, the wind's howling. I've tried to skip all of it, and I'm trying to record in between, and the metal on the roof vibrating a little bit. So when it gets real loud, I'll just cut that out. But so what I tried to do was I recorded it, had it all recorded up, and I waited till the last minute to see, there we go. Waited till the last minute to edit it. I got in there last night, nothing. All my little cool tricks I did with my camera, I made some changes to it and thought I was making everything better for me. Yeah, I don't know as much about cameras as I thought. So I switched everything back because it didn't work. So today what we're going to do is just the whole CNC process from beginning to end. And I mean, it's probably not going to be every little detail, but it'll give you a good encompassing idea of what I do. So here we go. Okay, so we're here in Vktech Camera, and we're going to hit create a new file. I was actually playing with this earlier, kind of getting an idea of what size I wanted to do. So we're going to do 12 inches wide by 4 inches tall. And it's going to be 3/4 inch thick. I'm going to hit OK. So all I'm going to do today is just a little sign that I've been telling you all about at the first of every video, just about. So www.smokeyandcuff.com. So I'm just going to make a little sign that I can hang in my. Still in the shop, you can still hear that background noise, I'm sure. So I'm just trying to get it centered up here pretty good. So if I want to get it centered really good, you go right here to this little align selected objects, click on it, and if I want it right in the center of the material, I just click that right there. It shows all 4 directions. If I want to do it, well, it's not going to let me play with it. So if I had it pulled way over here and I just wanted it aligned left and right, just hit the left and right one, and it puts it right in the center. So that looks pretty good. I am going to change the size of it a little bit. I want to stretch it a little so you can actually see it. And that looks good. So here's one of the tricks that you usually don't see me doing whenever I'm showing you how to program anything. I go right over here to this little X pattern, which is rotate selected objects. Click on it. Type in 180 and I flip it over. The reason I flip it over is, like I've explained before, the head of my machine is actually on the other end from where I put the camera. So I do things this way, so whenever it is cutting, it faces the camera so you get to see it right side up. And you've seen time to time, I've forgotten to do that. So we're going to slip right over here and we're going to go to V-carve. We're going to use a 90-degree V-bit, 1/2 inch. I'm going to cut down 0.15 inches. That's just kind of a standard depth I found I like. Calculate it. It shows all the writing upside down there, real thin. We'll preview select it. I'll slow it down a little bit so you can see it cut. And so in the end, that's what it's going to come out looking like. So I can go down here and hover over my little V-carve sign, and it shows you the estimated time of cut, 2 minutes, 37 seconds. Again, I'll probably speed it up because it is just writing. And I won't speed it up much, just so you can kind of see how it really goes. So I select on this, close. Right here in the bottom right corner, Save Toolpath. Click on Save Toolpath. Click there. I make sure I'm on my toolpath right there. and we'll just call this uncuff 90V. Now I put that 90V on there. That is basically, and sometimes I space it even, just so you'll know what bit you're using. That way when you open the file, you'll know automatically that you've got the correct bit in the machine. It's just kind of a little helpful tip I got from somebody else. On InMill, I put EM, and it'll be 0.18, which is an eighth of an inch, or I'll put 0.25 or put 25 EM. So that'll be a quarter inch. That way you just know that you've got the right bit. So I've saved it to there. So what I'm going to do now is put it on a little thumb drive. If I can get the thumb drive on the machine, there we go. So I'm sure you heard that. That's a little loud. Okay, so here's what everything that's on my thumb drive. You can see I've got tons of files on here. I need to get a new thumb drive, obviously. So I'm going to go here to toolpath, and on this one I'm on toolpath. So what I'm looking for is uncuff 90V right there. So I just literally slide it over here and just find that little blank space and drop it. So it puts it right here at the very end of the list. I mean, regardless what the letter is, at the very first, it'll drop it right here at the end of the list. So now I've got it to my thumb drive. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that because it's on my thumb drive. Come down here, eject my thumb drive. Ooh, that's loud. And we're off to the CNC room. Okay, I full-heartedly said we're off to the CNC room. Not true. Okay, so you saw that I made the size of the material 12 by 4. And I was just digging around in my scrap pile, and I have a piece that's 22 by 5.5. This is an old piece of pine that's been laying out here for a while. So probably what I'll do is leave it at 5.5 inch width, and I'll go ahead and cut it down to about 14 inches. That way I don't have to worry about hitting my clamps at all. And any kind of cut down I want to do, I'll do on the table saw when I'm done, because it's quick and easy, and I can trim it up and look real nice. We'll just cut it down real quick on the miter saw, and then we'll head to the CNC shop. Okay, so here it is. Like I said, it's 12 inches wide by about 5.5 tall. We're going to leave it there. Like I said, I cut it down on the table saw. And before I catch any flack, I know I didn't put hearing protection on when I got on my miter saw, but rest assured, 98% of the time when I'm in this shop, I am wearing my headphones. These are 3M Worktunes. If I haven't talked about them before, I don't remember if I have. Check my description down below. I have them on there. These things are awesome. They will Bluetooth to your phone. And I listen to music the entire time my CNC player is running, or I'm listening to a podcast, one of the two. So, did I say CNC player? My CNC machine. Well, I play on that CNC machine. All right, so here's the material. Let's go. So the first thing I do when I get out here, so I go ahead and measure up. You can see right there it's 5.5, and it is 14 inches. Remember, I cut it a little long just so it would be, I could make sure I missed with my clamps. So what we're going to do here is just go to the middle, mark 7 inches, go to the width, mark 2. Well, I did pretty good that time. I usually not that close. 2 3/4. So I get exact center right there. Okay, so now I take the back side of this and this line right back here. I happen to know this is where I like to stop cutting. I take it and I flush it up the edge with an edge of my tracks because I know these are perfectly perpendicular. So I just take it and I flush it up. And you can see I try to get center on my screw line here. Maybe my arm's in the way. I try to get my center as close to that screw line as this because I know this is perfect center. So I just run down. Yep, I moved it. Okay, there we are. And I clamp each corner down. Obviously, the last thing I did was pretty tall. Okay, so I have it all secured now, and it's starting to rain. Lovely. So the next thing I usually go do is run over here. This is my exhaust system, so I keep cool air coming to all my electronics. It's a fan, you can see it runs into the electronics. I run down and do all my turn-ons. That turns on this turns on the machine, this turns on the spindle. Open up my box, you can see my computer. I go ahead and turn it on, and I'll try to show you some Mach 3, although I don't have that same program on this computer. I'll just hold the camera and try to talk you through it. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Clearly we're not going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. So there it is. You saw me program it in V-carve, so that means I'm using a V-bit. So I just go ahead and loosen this off. Change out bits, take the 1/4 inch end mill out. This little collar, and you can see it's got a 1/4 inch shaft in it. You can order these by the bundle, and I've got from 1/8 inch up to 1/2 inch, I'm pretty sure. And I'm talking 3/8, 1/4, 5/16. I've got all sizes of these, and it just depends on the shaft of the bit you're using. So this is a 1/2 inch 90-degree V-bit, but it's got a 1/4 inch shank. You can see that it fits in there nice and tight. So you slide this little collar down into the nut, slide your bit in there, and you're ready to go. So I was doing a little looking right before I got started, and there's what's fixing to hit us. I can hear it starting to rain. Doesn't look like anything severe, so we'll just keep going. You remember the little handy dandy thumb drive that I put the program on? I just plug it into my system, and we'll get this result. There's all my files. So I go ahead and just minimize this. I don't mess with this right now. Right now what I'm interested in is these numbers right up here. These are my X, Y, and Z axis. That way I go ahead and zero these. So the way we're going to do that is if you'll come over here and hit tab, we now have this nice little screen. This is my controller screen for my spindle. So right here you can see I've got it on Y. I'm going to go ahead and back it up. And we'll see if we can get you in here closer so you can kind of actually see what it's going to do. So then I want to get over the X. I'm going to go ahead and lower it down. Okay, so what I've done there is I've just got it touching the wood, and it's right on that X. And so I've got it adjusted so you can see what all my X, Y, Z is. So what I go do is go up here and I hit 0, 0, 0. That is 0 point. That is where I start CNCing. I'm going from the surface. So I simply go over here and raise the Z up. I raise it up a little bit. Actually, I usually don't do it that high. We're going to go ahead and lower it a little bit so it doesn't take 10 minutes for it to get down there. Now then, what I'm going to do is load my program. So I go right over here to load. Right down there. It brings up what's on my little thumb drive. So I know it's called uncuffed, so I know we got to go all the way over here. And right here. So it's right there. I click on Uncuffed 90V, hit open. So it then puts the program up here in the corner. I always scroll down a little to select, just to make sure I've selected the right bit. Right here it says 90-degree V-bit, 1/2 inch, because I have started a program before with an end mill in trying to do a V-bit cut. And just let me tell you, doing a V-bit cut with a 90-degree end mill does not work at all. It really comes out with some interesting looks. And it took me a bit to catch on what I'd done. Once I figured it out, I started doing that little step just to make sure I had everything right. So another little thing I do is see if I can move this box out of the way a little bit. Okay. Another little thing I do, you can see feed rate right here. Right here you can actually speed it up, slow it down. Right now I'm running at 100% of its possible speed. I like to step that down to about 70%. That just ensures if something goes wrong, I have time to react. Because if you'll recall on my machine, my only safeties are that button and that button, or this button right here. Those are the only safeties I have on it. I don't have any limit switches, so if it starts to screw up, it's on me to stop it. So that's basically all in my setup. Now what I do is I start my spindle. You can see right under here. I'll let you listen to this dude's spool up. So it's up and running. I'll go around here and hook my camera up to the other end. And of course, I'll put my handy 3M Worktunes on so I don't have to listen to this. Okay, now it's quieting down. Let's see if I can slide this back over here where we can see it. So right here, you'll see I'm on Z up. I'll raise that bit out of the way. I reach in from here if I can reach it. Sometimes I have to reach in front. Undo all my clamps. That last one I'll get from the other side. And then you always see me do this. And I tilt the camera back so you can see what we just cut. So now then, normally after I do something like that, I would go over to the next other shop and run a sander over this. But since I did this in a nice pine, there is no burrs on this dude. So I'll probably just go straight into the painting so you can see what it's going to do. And what color are we going to do today? I usually do black. I think I'm going to go with a dark blue. Okay, so just like every time, I always put an old piece of wood up here as a backdrop so I don't worry about getting paint all over my top. So we're going to get the airbrush, take the top off, and I'm going to use this nice dark blue. Hopefully I don't have to dilute it. This is sometimes one of the colors that I have to dilute because it's a thicker paint. So I actually don't put just a great deal down in there. It's not a lot. And I get up here and test it. And so it looks like it's going to do pretty good. So then we get to painting. And like I said, I'm going to try to stay in my lines as good as I can. gonna be hard on something this small. Okay, so there you have it. I've got it all, so I'll probably actually let this dry for about 10-15 minutes since it is so rainy out today. That way I don't have to worry about messing up my paint. And I'll just go through and touch up little places that look lighter than others. I mean, I don't know if you can see right there on that S. And I just touch stuff up. So anyway, we're gonna wait about 10 minutes and then we'll go sand it. Okay, so like you guys seen me do it many times before, I'm just going to sand this real quick. I'm using just my random orbital sander. I've got 100 grit sandpaper on this thing, and we're just going to knock this paint off of it real quick, try to smooth it out a little bit. And honestly, I think that's probably about as far as I'm going to go with this one. I don't know that I'm going to stain it or poly it or anything because I'm going to hang it on the wall below my sign. Okay, so that's basically all that my process entails. And I mean, you can see how it came out. It's just gonna be a nice little sign. I'll just chop it down a little bit, put some screw holes in it real quick, and we'll hang it on the wall. Okay, so I mean, that's honestly about the process. I mean, I of course saved you for some of the things. I didn't show you cleaning the airbrush out and just little stuff like that. Didn't completely show me shutting down the computer and doing all the little odds and ends that I have to do, shutting down the machine. But I mean, you get it. You know you got to do that stuff. But just in a nutshell, that's how it's done. I mean, this video will probably be trimmed down somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes. And I've been out here doing this for an hour and 25 minutes. So just to give you an idea, the whole process isn't as fast as it usually sounds. Now, I could have been a little faster if I wouldn't had a monsoon right in the middle of it and got caught over in this shop. Thought I was going to run over here and grab something real quick, and it came a downpour and I couldn't get back over. And it's only about a 10-minute or a 10-foot jaunt, but you know, I always tell my wife, I'm sugar, I melt. You know, what do you do? So that's about it for this one, guys. As you saw, I thought the sign came out pretty neat. I'm just going to leave it there. You saw my little podcast booth. If you hadn't come over and check the podcast out yet, it's www.smokeyuncuffed.com if you just want to listen to the podcast. Or you can run out and check it over on YouTube, where you can actually just watch a YouTube video of me interviewing people or me just having a talk. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to Smokey CNC Woodworks. And I'll see y'all next time.